Our online course API 577 Welding Inspection and Methodology. In this module, you shall learn about our e-learning services and benefits, know about API certification in general and API 577 in particular, what you should expect on exam day, and some useful exam tips, and what you are expected to know, and the course layout. If you have any question, please call us visiting our website qualityinspector.co.uk or write to us info@qualityinspector.co.uk or use our chat line. This online course has been prepared by Training and Inspection Services Limited, United Kingdom. Okay. We shall provide you with all the knowledge and information you need to know in order to pass the API 577 exam. There are three definite leads to help you understand what type of question to expect during examination. These are API 577 and its cross-references, that's ASME Section 5 and Section 9, body of knowledge or what you are expected to know, and the third one is the exam score report from previous candidates, showing the areas where you are scored against and the number of questions from each topic. So regardless of which study plan you may wish to take or which training course you opt for, these leads shall help you focus your efforts and be your pulse check. You can start the self-study by collecting the reference material, highlighting the relevant section, and start cracking. Obviously, you would save some money, but missing on what we can offer to make your life easy. Your approach and study plan is also very important. If you merely memorize the facts and figures without understanding the concept, there is still a high chance of getting the question wrong because API exam questions are often rephrased. API exam questions do not use statements from the codes and recommended practices word by word directly. You can choose our training package that has the advantage of explaining core principles and concepts, augmented with exam tips and mock exam questions, as well as explaining correct and incorrect answers and ample pictures. Our exam questions are very much in line with real API examination questions, aimed at sharing the concepts, how to apply these concepts, how to avoid the loopholes, and how to handle the trick questions. None of the API reference study materials are intended for training purpose, and therefore understanding them may be difficult for candidates. We shall explain all these topics in sufficient detail so the course would benefit all candidates with any level of knowledge and expertise. Our training approach helps you solve any relevant questions within any context and scenario, since you would be capturing the concept, principle and theory rather than memorizing some numbers or facts without understanding the underlying reasons or their application. We do not claim that our e-learning courses are the only option to pass the exam, nor we claim that our courses would substitute studying API and ASME codes and recommended practices. However, we do claim being one of the best API training providers because we shall explain terms and definitions in an easy to understand format, complete with pictures, provide you with lots of pictures, presentations, videos and examples, so no matter what is your level of knowledge in each topic, you shall have the complete information and knowledge to pass the exam. Explain API 577 body of knowledge in an easy to understand and comprehensive way, and also highlight the areas where potential questions may come. Provide you with the concept, application and limitation of NDE methods, explaining applicable sections of ASME Section 5. Explain ASME Section 9, applicable clauses and tables, that's WPS, PQR, WPQ. Provide you with sets of mock exams in line with API exam questions. Support you through a chat line where you can ask any question from our instructor or need further clarity in a specific topic. Okay, let's see what are the API certifications. API examination divided into main groups: core exams, API 510, 570, 653, and others, or non-core. API 71, 77, 80, 936, TESS, 1169, SIF, and SIF. All API examinations held 3 times a year, and each API certification has 2 weeks exam window that you can and should choose from at the time of registration. After registration and approval by API, you can select the location, date, and time at a Prometric test center close to you. Prometric is subcontracted by API to hold the computer-based examinations, CBT. The deadline to get API authorization email is approximately 2.5 months or 10 weeks prior to the selected test window. To get the API approval in order to sit for a particular test, fill the application form by registering with API ICP using below link. Then upload the supporting document, your qualification and certification. Provide 2 references and pay the fee. API shall verify your claimed experience by contacting via email the 2 references you have provided. It's recommended to brief your references so they know which inspection field and for how long you have claimed the experience for. This would avoid any discrepancy that may result from your claimed experience against their verification. There are more than 3,000 Prometric testing centers worldwide to choose from. All Prometric testing centers operate on a first-come, first-served basis. Therefore, API cannot promise that you will be able to obtain a seat at your preferred location. So apply as soon as possible. It's highly recommended to schedule your exam with Prometric as soon as you have received your exam authorization notice email from API. If seats not available, try a different date within the same window or choose another location. Please note that during registration with API, you are required to select one of the available 2-week time window. Once the time window selected, you cannot change it, which means you can only attempt the exam within the selected 2 weeks window unless you decide to reschedule and pay the fees, which is as good as failing the exam. Remember, no-show, failing to book a seat, or even inability to book a seat at your preferred test center is as good as failing the exam itself. Although the deadline to get your application approved prior to your selected test window is around 2.5 months, you might not be able to find a suitable available date, or worse, you might not be able to get a seat at your favorite test center within the allocated 2-week window if your approval API authorization email is received late. So it is recommended that you register and get API approval, that is API exam authorization notice email, around 3 months prior to your scheduled exam. This means do not choose the next available test window, but choose the one that is 3 to 4 months away. For non-core API exams such as API 577, there is normally a good chance of getting a convenient test location and date at the next available test window because it's being a half-a-day exam. You can change the location and the date within the allocated 2-week window up to 30 days before the last day of test window, free of charge, and between 5 to 29 days for a fee of $70 subject to availability. Normally it's possible to change the time and location for API 577. API gives each candidate 12 consecutive months to pass an exam, beginning from the first scheduled test window. This means you can attempt an exam for a maximum of 4 consecutive times. If you do not pass the exam within a year for any reason such as failure in exam, fail to schedule the exam, no show up at the scheduled date, etc., you have to apply all over again and pay the full fees. One of our trainees received the API exam authorization notice for API 570 piping inspector 7 months before the selected test window, but he attempted to book a place with Prometric only 2 months before the test window. As a result, his closest Prometric test center, London, was already full, so he had to fly to Amsterdam Prometric test center to attend the exam. Therefore, it is strongly recommended that you book your place as soon as you receive the API authorization notice. API 577 certification, recertification, rescheduling, and cost. So the initial exam cost is $365. After 3 years, you need to apply for recertification, demonstrating that you still work as an API inspector for 20% of the time, and recertification cost $260. If you fail, you need to apply for rescheduling and pay $150 $50 for re-examination. After requesting for rescheduling and paying the fee, you shall receive the approval letter via email within a day or two. You shall then book your seat with the Prometric as soon as possible. You may apply for recertification 90 days prior to certification expiration date and for a 90-day grace period after. If an application is not submitted by the end of 90-day grace period, the certification will expire. A new certification and fees must be submitted, and you will need to pass a full examination in order to be certified. During the 6-year period, you need to do a quiz. So if you fail the quiz once, you will be able to take it again. If you fail the quiz a second time, you will not be able to recertify. You will need to submit a new application and take the full version of the exam in order to certify again. API inspectors are required to take an online open book quiz every 6 years in order to recertify. Each quiz has 25 questions that address the changes in the relevant codes over the past 6 years. You have a total of 4 hours to complete the quiz, and it may be paused for or interrupted up to 3 times. Exam day. So make sure you reach the Prometric test center half an hour before the scheduled time. You never know, you might be delayed on your way. If you reach the test center 15 minutes after the exam, they may refuse to admit you. Prior to letting you in to sit for the exam, they shall check your photographic government issued ID such as valid passport, driving license, ask you to sign in, check you with a metal detector, ask you to turn up your sleeves and trousers, check your pockets, look at your reading glasses to ensure it does not have any camera, ask you a security question, date of birth, email address, and take your picture. You cannot carry anything with you except a bottle of water, no ornaments except a wedding ring. They shall supply you with a couple of green color A4 size papers and a pencil for taking notes plus a simple calculator. You are required to have a valid government issued photo identity card such as a passport, driving license, and keep it with yourself during the examination. If you don't produce a government issued ID card, or if it is not valid, you shall be refused entry and is treated as a no-show, which is as good as failing the exam. Also make sure it's valid then. During API 653 above ground storage tank inspector exam, one of our candidates had an expired driving license and was refused entry, although he returned half an hour later with a valid passport, but by that time it was too late, Prometric said. As a result, he had to pay the rescheduling fee, USD $300, and appear for the exam 6 months later. It's recommended to check your photo ID to ensure it's valid, and preferably carry 2 valid government issued photo ID as plan B. It's simply not fit to be refused for an ID issue after all the time, effort, and money you have put in. So prior to examination, you shall be given a key to a locker to keep your belongings. You are not allowed to use the locker until you have completed the exam. After ID verification, security check, and letting you into the examination room, you will go first through the tutorial, which lasts for maximum 10 minutes or earlier if you press the end session button, and then the actual exam begins and the clock starts ticking. You can see the remaining time at the right hand corner of the computer screen. You can challenge any question you may wish by writing on his comment sheet, but please note that the clock keeps running, so you shall be spending the time to fill in the comment sheet from your allocated examination time. The pass mark is 70% for all API examination. No negative marking is applied. Therefore, answer all the questions. At the end, click the review all button. Peruse through the list to ensure that you have not skipped any question. Immediately upon completion of the exam, you shall receive an email notifying you whether you have passed or failed. Your preliminary exam result may be a preliminary pass, which is normally a pass, a marginal pass, too close to call may be a pass, or if you are lucky, and a preliminary fail, which is normally a fail. This is because the marking is scaled, although it is around 70%, so they want to standardize the level of difficulty, so they call it a scaled grading. So it might be 69, it might be 71%. You shall receive your confirmed score up to 8 weeks after the last day of 2 weeks examination window. Sometimes sooner, it takes another 6 to 8 weeks after receipt of confirmed score for the certification and the wallet card to arrive by post. Remember, if during the exam you wish to leave the examination room for, say, using the toilet, drinking water, you need to take your ID with you, report to the security outside the examination room and sign out. On return, you shall go through the same initial security check and signing. During all this time, the clock is running. Remember, your exam is not concluded until your time is up or when you press the end exam button, which asks you for confirmation that to ensure that you have not pressed it accidentally. You shall also see the list of attempted and non-attempted questions at the end by pressing the Review All button. This would ensure you have not left any question unanswered. There is a frequently asked question FAQ in the Prometric website with the below link, or go to API ICP and look for frequently asked question. There is a tutorial prior to exam that explains how the buttons work. You can also find the tutorial via the following link or go to the API ICP. The exam would automatically start after the 10 minutes allocated time for tutorial, or if you end it earlier. The icons are simple and user-friendly. Remember that you can flag off those questions you are not sure of, so you can return to them during the remaining time. You can also right-click on selected answer to eliminate them if you are confident that they are definitely the wrong answer. This will narrow down the possible right answer and therefore increase your chances of getting the right answer. You can either review all the questions once again or review the flagged off question only during any remaining time left. You can see the remaining time at the upper right hand corner of the screen. There are a few good tutorials in API ICP Individual Certification Program website. If the allocated time seems to be more than enough to answer all the questions as well as review them. Sitting for exam can be stressful, so try to have enough sleep the night before. On the exam day, just peruse the important parts of the reference document or look at the figures and charts for a couple of hours maximum. Let your brain rest. You need to be alert and full of energy to endure the exam. This is end of Module 1 API 577 Welding Inspection and Metallurgy. Thank you for listening.